It's a wonderfully dull grey day in the UK, so this isn't particularly well lit, but bear with me while I try and explain what's going on in this diagram. And hang on a minute, shed a layer. Okay, so what we have here is the spectrum, yeah, represented by these painted segments of colour, the visible spectrum of colour. So what's going on in the middle here as well? Well, we've got six dots or spots, and around these spots are two semicircles of colour as well. So for instance, this red one here has got a yellow semicircle and a pink semicircle. Now, you know, those of you who know a bit about mixing light, colouring light, might be able to spot the three primary colours that we consider primary colours of light. They are red, green, blue. Now, if you mix those three colours together, take them in pairs to start with. So if you take red and green and you mix those together in light, you make, there's red and green, you make yellow. I might be able to prove that. Hang on, let's see if I can get a torch. There you go, there's red and there's green, well, a bit blurry, and they make yellow, look, yay. So red and green mixed together in light make a brighter colour, which we call yellow, okay? And if you take red and blue and mix those together, red and blue, you get magenta. And so you can see these two semicircles on the outside are the colours that, when mixed together, create this colour in the centre. Now if you take blue and green, the last two, you mix those together, blue and green, you get cyan. You notice I've angled the colours that they're kind of mixing from towards them in the diagram, so it helps to make things a little clearer. Now let's have a look at some of these what we could call secondary colours of light. Okay, we have yellow, magenta and cyan. Well, you may notice that they're actually what we might call, as painters, primary colours. And they are three primary colours, or at least they're three theoretical primary colours. And I want to stress that word theoretical because although the theory works really well, in practice we find that actually executing this is a lot harder than it seems. For instance, actually mixing a decent magenta from the magentas that are available in paints actually is quite a difficult task. Okay. So anyway, let's get back to it. Magenta and yellow mixed together will produce this now secondary colour, which we would call red. And you would also think, oh, hang on a minute, red's a primary colour. And you could, if you mixed magenta and blue together, cyan together, in theory, we should be able to mix blue. And you might think, hang on a minute, that's another primary colour as well. You might not think that green is a primary colour, but I'd actually argue that in theory, it is in paint, okay? Now, you might think, oh, hang on a minute, yellow is a primary colour. Well, yes, it is. But when you're trying to cover this range of colours, this is actually more effective than another yellow. Now, in my book, I argue that, two yellows are a really great way to go. And they are a warm yellow and a cool yellow. But in theory, the green seems to work better. So let's stick to the theory for the time being, shall we? So we've established that in light, red and green make yellow, red and blue make magenta, and blue and green make cyan. And these we would call the secondary colours in light, okay? But in paint, these are the primary colours, and they make these primary colours, sorry, point to the right ones, Goldsmith, make these what we would call now secondary colours, because they come from these two added together and make these. So I would argue that actually all of these, when it comes to paint, are primary colours, and that to pick three of these on their own is a nonsense. It's not scientific, okay? It's not the new way to go. Red and blue and yellow used to be the old way to go. But you could say actually red and blue and green, if you consider these to be pretty much the same thing when it comes to mixing, are actually as valid as these three. And I would say actually all six of these are needed to create this. Okay, these three, magenta, cyan and yellow, can't do it. They're not up to the job. Okay, magenta will mix from here to here and will, in theory, will create a very good red. But to make that red, okay, in combination with yellow, you need a yellow which is almost orange, and you need a magenta which is almost here on the spectrum. Okay, if you bring one from here, you notice that this magenta has got this piece of blue on the side of it, yeah, and this yellow has green on this side of it. That's because that direction it has a green bias, and this direction the magenta has a blue bias. And the last thing you want to add to red is a combination of blue and green, because they create cyan, and cyan will effectively cancel out or desaturate red. Let me show you. Here's a red filter. Okay, now we're trying to think of paint as filters, because that's pretty much what it is. Okay, don't get tied up on names of paint, because that's really not helpful. Imagine yellow as a filter. You've got a bit of plastic to demonstrate it. Here we've got a pink filter as well, a magenta one. Lay it over the top. What do you get? You get red. Yee-hee. This is all good so far. Now what if you take some of this cyan from over here and you lay that over the red? What do you think is going to happen? It's black. Okay, it's taken pretty much all of the visible colour out, from being reflected back, so you can't really see any of that colour anymore. Now there is colour, but it's very difficult to see. The blue's pretty much cancelled out everything, made it black. Okay, so what you don't want in that mix, in this mix trying to create this red, would be cyan. And cyan is inherently present in yellow and magenta from around this part of the spectrum. And that works for the rest of the spectrum as well, okay? Where you don't want, for instance, to mix this blue would be any red and green, because red and green make yellow. Yellow added to blue will cancel it out. Okay? And same here and anywhere on the spectrum. Any of these, do that with any of these colours. So that's why magenta is a complete failure past this point. This is why you just want red. Okay, you can buy red from a tube, sorry, not from a tube. Could you buy, I don't know. Anyway, buy red in a tube and a yellow, which is a warm yellow, and you'll make a great range of orange. You won't do that with magenta, and you won't do that with a yellow that's got a green bias to it. That is why these three colours on their own won't work. And you must have at least 6 to get the full range of the spectrum, if that's what you're trying to recreate.